Hello, guys and gals. Kaise ho, bhai behno, main hu Anas. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna sit down and look into cyber cartels. Now, that might be a big fancy schmancy word, but really it's not as epic as you might think, because there's actually some arrests that have been made. But honestly, this excites me because I have a personal story in this, and I get to talk a little bit about that good old virus investigations, because by my own definition, today what we're looking at is something that I would consider to be malware to an extent. So let's just jump right in. Now, this involves the good old Nintendo Switch. This involves a hacking company behind the Nintendo Switch. Now, a while back, I think over a year ago at this point, I made a video that involved a little product. What was that product? Well, it was one of these, Team Executor's SXOS. Now, way back in the day, I made a video, which was coincidentally also a virus investigations, where we were talking about the Nintendo Switch hack. And here you got this nice old dusty jig and this, what is it, like the little Fusi-Geely payload launcher. And that was about it. Now, this was a $35 product they asked me to advertise. Well, not them specifically, but a company involved. So to start this beautiful email chain off, it was, "Hello, I'm sorry to disturb you a lot. I'm the sales manager from R4IB9S.com, and before anybody says, yes, I checked, the site is not functional anymore. In fact, the JavaScript is very minimal. The site is dead, okay? The site was gone. I wonder why. But anyways, do you plan to do a review of the product of Executor SX to hack Nintendo Switch? Here is the product details, and of course, it's a defunct website. We can send a Executor SX Pro to you freely after it's available. Can you kindly do a video to show this product? Now, this product is really hot in the market, even though it haven't come out." And thank you, Belinda, for that. I'm glad that the sales manager for the entire website is using the administrator's email address. That's completely legitimate, by the way. And I played it really cool. I was going like, "Yeah, you big dum-dum, I'll fall for it," even though I didn't, not at all. I gave him a P.O. box address, so... Smart thinking on your end. "I am interested in such a device. Quick question is how the banning scene from Nintendo looks like on such a device." Man, I gotta pick up. I think this was sent at like fucking 2 in the morning, dude. I don't know. "Thank you for your response. Nintendo cannot ban this device. It can work on the latest Switch firmware. However, it's a little risky to play online. If you prefer..." Anyways, what you gotta get from this email thread, okay, is that they're obviously doing something shady, and they know they're on Nintendo's bad side, and they're just willing to outright say it in a product like pitch. And then I gave my address, and then they start telling me, "We have a lot of other products to hack Nintendo 3DSs, new 2DSs, DSs, or GBAs." All right, so there they mentioned they have like the Stargate 3DS and the Easy Flash Omega. Now, these aren't devices designed to just bring the homebrew. Oh no, they're pretty much sold to people to just dump ROMs onto and play games illegally on their devices anyway. So that's pretty much what you have to understand from this situation, okay? They're not playing it very kosher. Now, hacking the Nintendo Switch was never a difficult endeavor, okay? If you have a Nintendo Switch, effectively what you gotta understand is this jig, all right, on any Switch. Now, this is a first-generation Nintendo Switch. Ooh, okay, turn off. This is a first-generation Nintendo Switch, and on the right Joy-Con rail, where you stick the Joy-Con in, right, the right one, the very right one, if you have the Switch turned off, and you take this jig, let me just take it out real quick, probably should have done that before, and you just slide that into the right Joy-Con as so, like this side, you know how you can like take it out and there's like, it might not focus because it's so tiny, but there's actually 2 pins at the end of this, right, and they're supposed to fit in and basically touch the pins on this Nintendo Switch device, right, as it's turned off. So as you power it on and hold volume up, you're actually triggering what's called RCM. Now, RCM is a mode that Nintendo engineers actually use in order to flash the device or maybe run diagnostics on it. It's basically a repair tool, a repair system that's utilized to fix the system when it's sent in for repairs or when it's being developed. Now, I might be wondering, Muda, but how are you getting access to it? Well, the actual story behind it is, I think, something to do with NVIDIA basically screwing up in some capacity and something going on with the actual development. There was something that happened as this was designed where this exploit was just known. It was just released. So the initial batches of the Nintendo Switch that were shipped out worldwide, millions of them, have this exploit available. It's why these first generation Switches are actually a bit more expensive if you buy them third hand. But regardless, okay, these switches, because this is a hardware flaw, Okay, you could update this to the most recent firmware, play the most up-to-date games, pirate it even, and Nintendo can't do a damn thing to stop this. Only recently, with games that have come out, has Nintendo actually went out of their way. With Nintendo 3D All-Stars, the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection actually will freeze the Nintendo Switch if it's ever, I think, ran any form of hacked custom firmware on it. But regardless, these things are pretty valuable when it comes to the Switch homebrew scene. That said, when this product first came out, that's when the scene was really popping off, all right? That's when like people found out it was this easy to run homebrew on their device. So this is where Team Executor steps in, right? Now, Team Executor, for those of you guys who don't know, have been around since the original Xbox days. In fact, if you want to go into it, some of those members have been around since the original PlayStation 1 days with the original mod chips. Now, this group has a massive history regarding breaking copy protections on multiple systems out there. They have been instrumental in basically creating the homebrew Xbox scene. And that's both good and bad. Don't get me wrong. Their products, their services have pretty much brought piracy to the forefront for a lot of these systems. However, they have paved the way for homebrew on these systems as well too. So things like emulators, things like, running source ports of Doom or whatever you want to call it is entirely possible because some of their members have contributed to the hacking scene, allowing these systems to run unsigned code onto them. Now, the United States Department of Justice, yes, the U.S. Department of Justice, Western District of Washington, has now arrested 3 members on fucking indictment, meaning that this product that I have, you probably can't even buy it anymore. And the guys that made it, the guys and gals, they've been busted by the feds. Let's go into this, all right? So, 2 leaders of one of the world's most notorious video game piracy groups, Team Executor, have been arrested and are in custody facing charges filed in U.S. District Court in Seattle. Max, a French national of Avignon, France, Yuaning Chen, 35, a Chinese national of Shenzhen, China, and Gary Bowser, yes, Bowser, 51, a Canadian national, were charged in a federal indictment unsealed today. The indictment alleges the defendants were leaders of a criminal enterprise. Yeah, this is a criminal syndicate that developed and sold illegal devices that hacked popular video game consoles so they could be used to play unauthorized or pirated copies of video games. The enterprise targeted popular consoles such as the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo 3DS, the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition, the Sony PlayStation Classic, and the Microsoft Xbox. Yeah, it went as far back as the Microsoft Xbox. So yeah, this is a very thorough, if you want to read the whole 31-page indictment, it's floating around on the internet as free public record anyways. The defendant lined their pockets by stealing and selling the work of other video game developers, even going so far as to make customers pay a licensing fee to play stolen video games. Yes, that's actually goddamn true, and we're gonna get into it. This conduct just doesn't harm billion-dollar companies. It hijacks the hard works of individuals working to advance in the video game industry. So they're obviously talking about people like indie games. So if you're making like Dead Cells, which is an amazing Switch game, yeah, these guys pretty much gave you the out to like pirate and get away with that game. But yeah, let's get into how this works, okay? So the reason why these guys are targeted, it's to a point where like even parody accounts, and I just had to show this, right? Like Stargate NX, which is at Team Executor. I don't even know. This might be a new account. Download your favorite illegal Switch games at whatever site so-and-so. I mean Stargate NX for only $24.99 a month. They're in jail. Yes, they are. And they follow the goddamn Justice Department. Jesus Christ. But yeah, if you go to the actual Team Executor website, it's still available. But just to show you all what we're getting into real quick, I mean, first off, they're already like putting on a casino as their quality website. That's just a good sign right there. But if you go to their store page, right, their actual store page, you can kind of see where they're getting screwed over. If you go to a Canadian version, error 404, not found. You go to the Colombian version, okay, Mundo Yakara or whatever it is, Mundo Yakara, they got an actual working website, so to speak, right? So obviously in countries where like there's a massive pursuit of copyright law, of digital millennium copyright infringement, they're obviously going to go as far as to shut down their entire websites. And some of these websites sell pretty much the same products, which again kind of get down to my conspiracy theory that maybe these are just like shell shops set up by the people running these things in the first place in order to sell products, in order to, you know, just get these products out in the market, because they would never be held by legitimate carriers for the volatile, illegal nature of what they're intended to do. So if you go to Team Executor's website, it's even a shell of itself. It's not even what I remember. Bro, they're using a default template that I can modify on their website. Can you fucking believe it? Can you believe it? Look, I can modify their website. They literally gave me their website landing page design right here. Bam! You can modify their website all for free. Now, what's also interesting is you cannot buy the product anymore just because it's conveniently out of stock, and I don't think it's going to be in stock for a while. The U.S. Department of Justice has kind of fucking taken care of that. But yeah, if you go to their blog update, yeah, they're not covering jack anymore, okay? Their last update was in April 28, 2020, and that was how to update your Switch if it was ever banned by Nintendo, which I think can actually happen. But anyways, what you have to pretty much know is Team Executor is kind of fucked. Now, this is where we get into the virus investigation segment of the video. Okay, a little bit of talky-loo. Now, Nintendo Switch hacking comes in various ways. Okay, a lot of it comes down from the open source community that develops a lot of tools like Atmosphere, for instance, which is what I use to run Homebrew on my Nintendo Switch. See, Homebrew is a strong community. The Switch is a great system. It's portable. The battery life is very good. You know, for the most part, it's got very good input, very good controls. You know, say if your Joy-Cons aren't breaking, and that allows you to play a lot of emulated games really, really well. There's a lot of source port stuff on the Switch that works really, really well. The Switch is a great system when it's homebrewed. It's a really awesome system. It's like the ultimate emulation machine. You can literally take Chrono Trigger with you on the go, come back, slap it on the dock, and play it on the big TV anytime you want. So it's a really great system for that. The reason why these guys got targeted, and the reason why Atmosphere and a lot of these open source community projects are still up, their GitHubs haven't been taken down, is that they're really not doing anything illegal. I'm sure Nintendo doesn't like what they do, but they're not directly responsible for costing Nintendo a potential millions of dollars for having top tier games like Luigi's Mansion stolen on day one, or games like Animal Crossing leaked a week or something before it came out for people to just, not a week, but like a couple days before, just to download and play at your heart's content. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why these guys got fucking banned is that they pretty much released this product and bundled in a proprietary fucking piracy tool built into it, believe it or not. So when I first covered this, I didn't even talk about it at all. In fact, I really didn't even bother mentioning it because I wasn't comfortable with it, and I was not going to upload a video that got viewed and would allow people to learn how to pirate games. It just I was covering more of the hacking side and the homebrew side, so it was never going to be a focal point. I think it's for that reason that the website that I worked with initially that we talked about didn't even bother contacting me afterwards, because I'm pretty sure after watching it they were a little pissy that I didn't talk about their crowning jewel. So what their crowning jewel was for the SXOS project was that they basically bundled in what they called an XCI Loader. Right now, if you're in the Switch piracy community, there's two methods of running pirated games. There's the NSP method and there's the XCI method, okay? Both of these are full game dumps. NSPs are effectively package files that you dump onto your homebrew Switch. You install them to the system memory or the SD card, whatever you want, and you can run games right off the Switch as if it was modded in its homebrew state, provided you had the signature files, which are easily found online anyways. I'm not going to tell you where to look because that would be promotion of piracy, and I'm not okay with that, but that's one method. The XCI method was the earliest known method. When they first released their product, okay, not only did you get homebrew, but you got easy access to Game Loader. So what it would do was it would take an entire game dump it would stage it as an actual real cartridge. So through their loader, the Switch would actually stage that, think of it like an ISO file. It would stage it on the actual firmware, the operating system of the Switch, and it would look like you put in an actual cartridge. You could then launch this game and play it to your heart's content. Now, I'm sure Nintendo could figure out you were playing this, like, it could figure out 300,000 people were playing the same identified dump online, and that's how the bans were coming. But anyways, regardless of all of that, moving forward, what you have to understand is that's what they were going with. They were billing it with a built-in XCI editor. But here's the fucking kicker, and this is what brings the malware investigations. This piracy tool, believe it or not, had anti-piracy code built in, and the worst kind of anti-piracy code. If you tried to reverse engineer the SXOS software, it would actually brick your Switch, your $300 Switch at the time, from working, okay? Unless you had a NAND backup, unless you were as paranoid as yours truly, making NAND backups of your Switches, storing them off-site, and unless you had that, and a way to boot in through the RCM method and restore that NAND, that flash memory, that initial image of the Switch, you were gone. Your product was out. I believe there may have been ways recently discovered to fix it. I'm not exactly knowledgeable of them because that's not a field I typically have to worry about. But yeah, Team Executor, the group that was releasing a product that pretty much bundled piracy, all right, that pretty much promoted piracy, built-in anti-piracy code, I guess to protect their original proprietary code, which I can understand, but all your morals and ethics get thrown out the fucking window when you're out there promoting piracy or promoting illegal methods of software usage on your system. In fact, one thing that I always go back to is this old like Wololo thread where they actually talked about this SXOS brick console system, right? One of the actual commenters were like, wow, get the story right if you're going to report it. The brick code would only be triggered if you were trying to reverse engineer their code, which I think is fair enough. Why shouldn't they protect what they made? Bro, their software is literally designed to pirate the software that other people have made. What the fuck? What are your optics? Even up till this point, let me tell you exactly how things are at Team Executor, right? Now, again, I have no problem with Team Executor or any of these companies. I just kind of find it funny how this arrest happened and the initial history of the SXOS system, right? But let me just get into it. So September 6, 2020, they even made a scene announcement where they said SXOS contains some important compatibility fixes. And I love how conveniently they're showing Super Mario 3D All-Stars. They even mention we got reports of crash hang issues with the popular upcoming Super Mario 3D All-Stars. We've investigated this and fixed it. So yeah, now you can actually pirate one of, well, soon to be rarer games and get away with it scot-free on your hacked Nintendo Switches. And it's again to show you how easy it is to actually hack one of these already hardware compromised Switches and have them updated to the latest version and just get away with it. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was the fun part of SXOS. And again, you can't say that it's all piracy because even according to this image, they do allow for homebrew usage, which they do. But it's by the end of this that I'm just going to say, listen, I think the best case scenario is to support open source, peer-reviewed, completely transparent software like Atmosphere, which pretty much focused primarily on homebrewing your Switch. I think for most people that's pretty much where it's at, and that's what I use anyways. In fact, all I do on a homebrewed Switch is play some classic PlayStation games and some SNES stuff and N64. That's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. I also use it to stream some games from my computer. Maybe I'll actually make that a video in the future, sort of an updated Switch hacking thing going on. But yeah, kind of wanted to talk about this. Some nice little Switch hacking drama, some nice little malware investigations. How impressive is it that piracy software is now bundled with anti-piracy code built in? Ladies and gentlemen, we truly live in a cyberpunk future. That being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.